Snowstorms have a special talent. They turn perfectly rational adults into people who look at an icy incline and think, yeah, my sedan can handle that. Spoiler, it absolutely cannot. And somehow, this is just the warm-up for what comes next. 1. A compact car launching toward a snow-packed hill like it's auditioning for a low-budget Fast and Furious remake creates a special kind of tension, especially when the driver genuinely believes momentum is a personality trait rather than a physics concept. The car hits the incline, immediately loses confidence, and begins sliding backward at the pace of a depressed sloth, while the driver keeps flooring the gas as if pure emotional commitment will generate traction. Witnesses watch a reverse, slow-motion ballet of poor decisions, culminating in the car gracefully spinning sideways, tapping a mailbox, and resting with all the dignity of a fainting goat. The driver emerges blaming faulty snow for not supporting his heroic ascent, as if the snow collectively agreed to sabotage him. The entire scene ends with a tow truck driver casually asking, "So, you thought that would work?" Which is the most generous interpretation of events imaginable. 2. A mid-size SUV creeping up a frozen hill with hazard lights flashing like it's signaling farewell to the world is already a rough start, but the driver adds a new twist by rolling the window down and yelling, "I've got all-wheel drive," as though shouting the feature will activate hidden cheat codes. The SUV manages 10 glorious feet before the tires begin spinning with the enthusiasm of a blender full of gravel. And then the vehicle starts drifting sideways in a slow, majestic arc toward a row of trash cans awaiting their fate like sacrificial offerings. The driver tries correcting the drift by turning the wheel in every possible direction, including some not recognized by any known driving curriculum, and the SUV finally settles against a snowbank, looking like it just gave up on adulthood. The driver steps out and gives the hill a betrayed look, as if the incline personally promised loyalty and then changed political parties overnight. 3. A pickup truck approaching a steep, iced-over hill with chains dangling from the tires but not actually attached is the kind of confidence that deserves scientific study, especially when the driver waves proudly at neighbors like a parade marshal about to demonstrate the future of transportation. The truck charges up the hill, hits the first patch of polished ice, and all four wheels immediately spin in place, generating enough noise to alert wildlife 2 counties away. Rather than stopping, the driver doubles down, pressing the accelerator until the truck begins fishtailing like a mechanical salmon desperately trying to migrate upstream. The vehicle then slides backward in a perfectly straight line, an achievement attributed entirely to gravity's pity, and ends up lodged in a snowbank that nobody remembers existing an hour earlier. Upon exiting, the driver gestures toward the uninstalled tire chains and says, "I was going to put them on at the top," proving that some strategies are less plans and more winter-themed fanfiction. 4. A luxury sedan attempting to climb an ice-coated hill while the driver insists through a cracked window that this car has a winter mode sets the tone for a remarkable descent into delusion. Winter mode in this case appears to be code for makes slightly different dashboard lights turn on, because the moment the car touches the incline, it performs a full dramatic pause before sliding back down in total silence, the automotive equivalent of a sigh. The driver, unwilling to accept defeat, reverses further down the street to get a run-up, which is like preparing for a ski jump, except without skis, skill, or sense, and the sedan launches forward again, this time making it 3 whole feet farther before spinning gracefully like a ballerina whose tuition went to waste. Eventually, the car settles sideways across the road, becoming a temporary modern art piece titled Overconfidence in Chrome, and the driver sits inside scrolling their phone as if the car parked itself out of personal spite. 5. A minivan packed with optimistic passengers attempting a snowy hill climb right after a storm has the energy of a family vacation run by people who have never once Googled the phrase winter driving, and the driver stomps the gas pedal with the hopeful enthusiasm of someone trying to start a defective lawnmower. The van crawls forward, wheels spinning as loudly as the back seat arguing, and then begins drifting toward the curb with the inevitability of a plot twist everyone saw coming 30 minutes ago. Passengers yell conflicting instructions: more gas, less gas, no gas, and why are we even doing this? Turning the entire event into a motivational seminar run by nobody qualified. The minivan finally slides sideways into a snowbank and gently tips just enough to activate everyone's fight-or-flight instincts, while still causing 0 actual damage. The driver concludes the hill is clearly defective, a diagnosis about as accurate as calling quicksand slightly clingy dirt. 6. A driver who decides to conquer a freshly frozen hill by turning off traction control to let the car feel the road better unwittingly creates a masterclass in how not to understand machinery. The car rockets forward with the enthusiasm of a toddler hyped up on sugar, immediately loses stability, and begins spinning its tires with such violent excitement that nearby squirrels pause mid-step to evaluate their life choices. The vehicle makes it halfway up before gravity activates its performance review and drags it backward at a pace both gentle and humiliating. The driver refuses defeat and tries again, this time rocking the car back and forth like they're attempting to summon momentum through interpretive dance, only succeeding in digging the tires so deep into the snow that the car now functions as an inconvenient public sculpture. The final touch is the driver muttering, "Traction control is overrated," which really signals the need for mandatory winter driving aptitude tests. 7. A bright red sports car revving loudly at the base of a frozen hill conveys the delightful delusion that raw horsepower can overpower physics, meteorology, and common sense simultaneously. The driver launches forward, tires spinning with the sound of a blender chewing ice cubes, and the car surges a whole 5 feet before losing grip and skittering sideways like a confused crab seeking shelter. Not satisfied, the driver reverses and tries again, this time revving even louder, as if volume correlates to traction, and the car smacks into the same invisible patch of ice, rotating 90 degrees and sliding back down in slow motion, perfectly aligned for maximum public embarrassment. Spectators gather, forming a jury of silent neighbors watching horsepower lose convincingly to frozen water. Eventually, the car settles crookedly across the street like a fallen Christmas ornament, and the driver steps out, glancing around as though an unseen saboteur loosened the Earth's friction settings overnight. 8. A delivery van attempting to climb a steep, iced-over hill after a storm creates a visual representation of corporate optimism colliding with meteorological reality. The driver guns the engine, and the van inches forward like an exhausted retiree forced into cardio, before losing traction entirely and beginning a slow-motion backward slide, packages thumping inside with every wobble like they're commenting on the situation. The driver corrects the wheel with the subtlety of a man wrestling an alligator, causing the van to pivot gracefully toward a row of recycling bins that clearly didn't expect to play an active role in this narrative. The van eventually comes to rest, gently pressed against a snowbank, creating a spontaneous off-site storage solution. The driver emerges, calls the office, and with admirable professionalism declares, "Yeah, the road is experiencing issues," which is a polite corporate way of saying, "I discovered friction is optional now." 9. A driver who believes winter tires are a scam immediately offers the universe a chance to demonstrate the opposite by attempting a steep, icy hill with all-season tires so bald they could be used as reflective surfaces. The car lurches forward, slipping with the enthusiasm of someone trying to dance on buttered marble, and then begins drifting backward while the driver pumps the brakes with the frantic urgency of a malfunctioning robot. The sideways drift kicks in next, sending the car toward a row of snowy hedges that brace themselves for impact by simply existing. After a moderately soft landing, the driver inspects the tires, shrugs, and announces, "Must be black ice," which is an elegant way of blaming the weather instead of confronting the fact that the tires resemble smooth, decorative coasters. 10. A compact hatchback attempting to climb a glassy hill at 2 miles per hour creates the ambiance of a nature documentary, where the narrator whispers about a creature that has already lost. The driver, convinced slow and steady wins every race, gently presses the gas, achieving exactly 0 forward movement while the tires politely polish the ice beneath them. After a moment, the car begins sliding backward at the exact same 2-mile-per-hour pace, creating a symmetrical loop of failure. The driver refuses to acknowledge this and attempts micro-adjustments to the steering wheel that achieve nothing except making the vehicle look indecisive. When the hatchback finally bumps into a snowbank with the soft enthusiasm of a senior cat lying down, the driver concludes, "This hill must be uneven," a statement so diplomatically incorrect the hill itself should file a rebuttal. 11. A lifted truck rolling up to a frozen hill with the swagger of someone who's memorized several inspirational quotes about power sets, expectations that crumble instantly upon impact. The truck charges up the incline, spins, wobbles, and then performs an unplanned pirouette that would receive respectable scores from Olympic judges if not for the fact that it wasn't intentional. The The truck then slides sideways into a position that blocks the entire road, effectively becoming a giant metallic protest against overconfidence. The driver hops out, shrugs, and delivers the classic line, "Guess the truck wasn't warmed up," as if temperature, not gravity and friction, sabotage their moment of triumph. 12. A rideshare driver attempting to reach the top of a snowy hill while the passenger cheers them on like a coach with zero training turns the moment into an improv workshop for disaster. The driver accelerates, the wheels protest, and the car immediately drifts sideways toward a collection of trash bins awaiting their destiny. The passenger yells helpful advice like, "Just keep going," which is the exact opposite of what physics recommends. After a gentle collision that reshuffles the bins like a game of winter-themed dominoes, the driver sighs, checks the app, and mutters, "Still says I'm en route," proving that technology and optimism can be equally misleading. 13. A driver who decides to take the hill at an angle because they saw someone do it once in a video that was definitely filmed in a different climate creates a moment where the universe prepares popcorn. The car approaches diagonally, immediately loses traction, and spins in a perfect semicircle before sliding backward like a malfunctioning office chair. Rather than reconsidering, the driver insists on trying the same maneuver again with more enthusiasm and less logic, creating a performance piece titled "Chaos, but with Intent." By the time the car settles crookedly in a snowbank, the driver announces, "It almost worked," a phrase that should be engraved on a memorial for winter driving mistakes. 14. A hybrid car attempting a snowy hill climb while the driver insists the eco mode will help creates a contradiction so powerful it should be studied. The car silently glides forward, wheels spinning like it's churning existential dread rather than traction, and then begins sliding backward with the quiet resignation of someone leaving a job they never liked. After drifting into a soft pile of snow, the driver nods thoughtfully and says, "Maybe it needed to charge more," suggesting a belief that electricity can overcome frozen water and geometry. 15. A driver warming up their car for 15 minutes before attacking a frozen hill assumes that preheating the cabin somehow extends to the tires, creating a touching yet misguided vote of confidence in thermal osmosis. The car rockets forward, immediately fishtails, and begins drifting backward while the driver shouts encouragement at the dashboard like the vehicle needs emotional coaching. After a slow, spiraling retreat into a snowbank, the driver mutters, "Thought the warm-up would help," proving that winter sometimes exposes not just mechanical limitations but conceptual ones as well. 16. A driver who approaches a snow-packed hill with the wild idea that momentum is everything provides a remarkable demonstration of how momentum is, in fact, not everything. The car takes off like it's reenacting a motivational commercial, gains speed far beyond anything resembling wisdom, and slams into the incline with the enthusiasm of an overeager intern on their first day, only to hydroplane on frozen powder and immediately lose all directional loyalty. The vehicle begins spinning in a wide, theatrical arc, somehow managing to hit neither tree nor pole but coming dangerously close to both in what appears to be a cosmic prank. It finally settles perfectly perpendicular to the road, blocking the entire street like a doorstop made of poor choices. The driver steps out, shrugs, and mutters, "Almost had it," which is an interesting interpretation of events for someone whose car now resembles a barricade erected by Mother Nature herself. 17. A small sedan charging toward an icy hill with windshield wipers flapping at full speed, as though wipers control traction, instantly sets a tone of misguided optimism. The driver pushes forward confidently, making it about 12 heroic feet before the wheels begin spinning like a hamster discovering existential dread. The car then transitions into a slow sideways drift, gliding elegantly toward a row of recycling bins lined up like an audience waiting for impact. The vehicle nudges them gently, sending the bins rolling downhill in a synchronized parade more coordinated than the car's entire maneuver. Meanwhile, the driver sits still, gripping the wheel with the intensity of someone playing a video game where the joystick has stopped responding, before ultimately announcing, "The road's slick today," which is a wonderfully understated way to describe a complete public demonstration of mechanical helplessness. 18. A confident driver deciding to go for it in a rear-wheel drive muscle car during a post-storm freeze sets in motion a series of events that should be shown in every physics class. The car roars forward, engine growling like a movie villain, and immediately transforms into a 3,500-pound curling stone sliding diagonally across the icy road. The wheels spin in place, The rear end swings out with the drama of a soap opera character entering a scene, and the entire vehicle moves not up the hill, but sideways down it with unnerving serenity. The driver attempts tiny steering corrections, each one only accelerating the drift deeper into the realm of natural disaster and progress, until the car softly kisses a snowbank and settles like a disgraced athlete benched for the season. The driver, still revving the engine out of habit, finally accepts defeat and mutters, "Traction just wasn't there," as if traction simply forgot to clock in for work that day. 19. A driver who believes speed is the antidote to ice demonstrates the exact opposite by flooring it at the bottom of a hill and giving the universe a perfect excuse for slapstick. The car rockets forward with impressive acceleration, leaving behind a cloud of cold exhaust and bad decisions, then hits the incline and immediately begins skating, yes, skating, upward on 4 tires so confused they might file HR complaints. The vehicle loses control, spins once, spins twice, and then rotates just enough to face back downhill, as if politely admitting defeat before sliding all the way back to where it started, right past the tire tracks that now resemble a crime scene. The driver, refusing to acknowledge any flaws in the plan, lowers the window and announces, "It would have worked if I had a little more runway," which is a poetic way to say the plan was doomed from its earliest molecules. 20. A cautious driver attempting to climb a snowy hill at half a mile per hour creates the kind of slow-motion disaster usually reserved for nature documentaries. The car gently creeps forward with all the conviction of a house cat reluctantly approaching a bathtub, wheels slipping every few inches as if asking permission from the road. Eventually, the tires stop engaging entirely, and the car begins sliding backwards so gently and gracefully that it almost feels polite, drifting toward a parked SUV whose owner definitely didn't ask to be part of this ballet of failure. The driver, maintaining absolute stillness, presses the brake as though it's a pause button instead of a suggestion the ice simply ignores, and the car softly bumps the SUV like a bored penguin nudging another penguin out of the way. Emerging from the vehicle, the driver whispers, "Didn't expect that," which is the understatement equivalent of calling a tornado a bit breezy. 21. A brave driver deciding chains are too much hassle, right before attempting a hill coated in a shimmering layer of post-storm ice, creates a moment tailor-made for educational posters about preparation. The car rolls forward, tires completely unprepared for the surface beneath them, and instantly begins spinning like a vinyl record nobody wanted to play. The vehicle drifts sideways in a slow, meandering arc toward the curb, where it gently becomes one with a snowbank in a way that suggests destiny rather than error. The driver steps out, peers at the hill with profound suspicion, and says, "I think the snow's packed wrong," as though the hill enrolled itself in a poorly taught physics seminar, instead of simply reacting to tires that should have been replaced 3 winters ago. Meanwhile, the snowbank absorbs the car with all the judgment of a parent who has seen this behavior far too many times. 22. A delivery driver deciding to attempt an icy hill without clearing snow from the roof of the van inadvertently creates a surprise snowfall event the moment momentum fails. The van charges forward bravely, wheels slipping but making progress until suddenly they don't, and gravity seizes the situation like a supervisor taking over a doomed project. The van starts sliding backward, and the snow on the roof avalanches forward over the windshield, instantly blinding the driver with a DIY whiteout. The vehicle drifts gently into a row of decorative shrubs that absolutely never expected to play defense, and the driver sits for a moment in stunned silence inside the snow-filled cockpit. Finally, the door opens, and a mound of snow tumbles out like the van just sneezed, while the driver announces, "Didn't expect that much snow," despite the rest of the neighborhood definitely expecting exactly that much snow. 23. A driver convinced their winter-ready tires will conquer anything forgets to factor in the part where those tires still need tread. The car moves confidently up the hill, making promising progress until the incline steepens, and the tires begin spinning like they're auditioning for a treadmill commercial. The car stalls, trembles, and then starts drifting backwards slowly but steadily into oncoming traffic. Not dangerous traffic, thankfully, but the kind of parade of concerned neighbors who have all silently agreed to witness the moment fate takes over. After a soft collision with a snowbank, the driver steps out and inspects the tires with a puzzled expression, as though someone replaced them overnight with smooth rubber discs. After several seconds of contemplation, the driver concludes, "Must be bad snow today," delivering a scientific analysis no meteorologist would endorse. 24. A driver who tries to zigzag up a snowy hill to reduce the incline unknowingly reenacts the final moments of a malfunctioning Roomba. The car takes a sharp turn left, slides right, then aggressively swings back left again, each attempt creating new, chaotic tire tracks that form an accidental, abstract mural across the hill. Gravity grows bored, watching the performance, and simply pulls the car straight back down the center like a schoolteacher confiscating a rogue toy. The driver taps the brakes repeatedly, discovering that the brakes are on holiday and not accepting new responsibilities. Eventually, the car drifts into a snowbank with a soft thump that sounds like resignation, and the driver, stepping out with surprising confidence, declares, "It almost worked," a phrase often heard moments before an entire plan collapses under the weight of basic physics. 25. A driver attempting to climb an icy hill using cruise control delivers a perfect demonstration of how automation thrives until winter shows up. The car starts up the incline steadily, the engine humming like a machine pleased with itself, until the tires hit a polished patch of ice and immediately lose all enthusiasm for movement. Cruise control, blissfully unaware of the meaning of traction, obediently increases power, causing the wheels to spin faster and the car to drift sideways with the happiness of a robot executing an incorrect instruction with flawless efficiency. Eventually, the vehicle rotates a graceful half circle and slides backward downhill like it's trying to return itself for a refund. The driver finally disables cruise control with the betrayed expression of someone whose technology let them down, even though the hill was clearly marked with the universal winter symbol for "do absolutely none of this." 26. A driver attempting to just power through the icy slope in a tiny hatchback quickly discovers that horsepower does not override the molecular structure of frozen water. The car charges forward with admirable noise but minimal progress, wheels spinning aggressively enough to qualify as percussion instruments. Halfway up, the front end lifts slightly from the aggressive throttle, giving the disturbing illusion the vehicle might attempt flight, before snapping back down and drifting backward, as if reconsidering every life choice that led to this moment. It gently collides with a mound of snow that immediately swallows the front bumper like a snake attempting a meal too large. The driver sighs and says, "These hills are dangerous," carefully sidestepping the inconvenient detail that the hill was merely existing while the car performed a one-man reenactment of a physics experiment gone rogue. 27. A driver who trusts the snow mode button more than actual driving technique creates a scenario where blind faith meets frozen science. The car ascends with careful optimism, snow mode gently adjusting throttle and traction as intended, until the incline steepens and the tires collectively vote no. The car slows, trembles, then enters a silent, slow backward slide that snow mode apparently has no protocol for, drifting down the hill with all the calm defeat of a balloon escaping a child's grip. Mid-slide, the driver taps the snow mode button repeatedly, as though insisting it try harder. But the car simply continues descending with the serene acceptance of a machine that understands its limitations. When the car finally settles against a curb, the driver mutters, "Thought snow mode handled this," offering a statement that could double as the product tagline for misplaced confidence. 28. A driver attempting to climb an icy hill with tires wrapped in makeshift DIY traction socks, otherwise known as old towels, provides a stunning visual of human creativity used in completely unhelpful ways. The towels immediately soak through, freeze, and transform the tires into decorative winter ornaments rather than functional equipment. When the driver accelerates, the car jerks forward enough to trigger hope before violently fishtailing and sliding backward with the predictable tragedy of a sequel nobody asked for. Bits of frozen towel peel off dramatically, flying into the air like confetti celebrating the collapse of an ill-conceived plan. After landing in a shallow ditch, the driver retrieves the shredded fabric and announces, "Thought this trick would work. Saw it online," proving once again that not all advice on the internet is meant for those still in the natural selection phase of understanding winter. 29. A driver who tries to help their traction by leaning their entire body forward, as if shifting personal weight will persuade the laws of physics, unveils a hilarious misunderstanding of how cars function. The vehicle ascends the hill marginally, wheels spinning like a blender full of marbles, before losing enthusiasm and sliding backward slowly, during which the driver leans even farther forward, to the point of essentially kissing the steering wheel, creating an unintentionally comedic tableau. The car drifts perfectly into a waiting pile of plowed snow, burying itself nose first like a guilty groundhog. The driver emerges rubbing their forehead and declares, "I was giving it everything I had," which is accurate in the sense that they gave plenty of emotional support but zero additional traction. 30. A driver attempting to climb a hill while blasting upbeat music, convinced the soundtrack will elevate driving performance, showcases the fascinating human belief that enthusiasm substitutes for traction. The car accelerates to the beat, spinning its tires in rhythm like a drummer failing an audition, and then begins drifting sideways toward a row of mailboxes that clearly did nothing to deserve being targets. After a soft but definitive collision with a snowbank, the driver turns the music down, the universal sign of taking things seriously, and mutters, "The hill messed up the vibe," as though the hill should apologize for not aligning with the playlist's emotional journey. 31. A driver approaching the icy hill with absolute determination and snow chains sitting neatly in the trunk, unused, reveals a remarkable case study in avoidable irony. The car moves up the hill decently at first, gaining confidence and perhaps even joy, until the cold truth sets in and the tires begin spinning helplessly atop glassy ice. The car freezes, hesitates, then begins drifting backwards slowly enough that passing pedestrians could offer commentary in real time. Within seconds, the vehicle is nestled against a snowbank that accepts it like a disappointed mentor. The driver steps out, opens the trunk, picks up the unused chains and says, "Didn't think I'd need these," a statement that will echo through eternity as the thesis of winter driving errors everywhere. And that's the grand tour of winter chaos, proof that snow plus confidence equals entertainment. Now pick the dumbest one, drop it in the comments and brace yourself. There's always worse coming.